Hello and welcome to TVB News. The People's Liberation Army today began 2 days of military drills around Taiwan. A PLA spokesman says the drills are meant to punish Taiwan independent separatists following the inauguration of the island's new leader, Lai Ching-te. Danny Zhou reports.
The People's Liberation Army announced that its Eastern Theater Command started the joint military drills involving the Army, Navy, Air Force and Rocket Forces at 7:45 this morning. The drills, codenamed Joint Sword 2024A, will last for 2 days. The maneuvers are intended to encircle Taiwan and some outlying islands off the mainland's southeastern coast. Dozens of warships approached Taiwan's peripheral maritime regions and delivered multidimensional mock strikes with various weapons. Fighter jets from the PLA Air Force carried out island patrols and mock attacks against the enemy's high-value military targets. A video released by the Eastern Theater Command showed J-20 fighter jets and Type 05 2D destroyers taking part in the drills. Meanwhile, Taiwan authorities said 4 vessels off the mainland side's Coast Guard sailed into the waters near Wuqiu and Dongyan Islands. The mainland vessels left the area about an hour later. In Beijing, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the joint drills are consistent with international law and common practice, reiterating Taiwan independence is a dead end. In response to the PLA drills, multiple fighter jets took off from Taiwan's Hinshu Air Force Base to conduct their military exercise. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Police have arrested a man on suspicion of inflicting bodily harm upon 2 other people at a shopping mall in Lambton this afternoon. Officers took away a cutter in connection with the case for further investigation. At around 1 o'clock this afternoon, a man attacked 2 vegetable stall workers with a cutter. Police apprehended the suspect and another person. 3 people injured in the incident were taken to the United Christian Hospital for treatment. Initial investigations suggest the attacker did not know the vegetable stall workers. 3 people injured in last night's knife attack in Shatin shopping mall are still in hospital in stable condition. The alleged attacker remains detained in Tai Po Hospital. The Social Welfare Department said he is not a case being followed by social workers. After the attack yesterday, the fast food restaurant in a shopping mall at Shui Chun O Estate reopened for business today. The restaurant said it will give its workers crisis management training, while security patrols at the mall were strengthened. On Wednesday evening, a 43-year-old man holding a chef's knife started attacking people. Initial investigations suggest he has a record of schizophrenia. A medical specialist said very few patients with the condition have violent tendencies. He said family members of such patients should seek professional assessment if the patient's emotions fluctuate violently. Campaigning in the UK has begun after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called a general election for July 4th. The current British leader will face stiff competition from Labour's Keir Starmer. Sunak has been defending his policies and telling the public the economy will improve if they stick with him and the Conservatives. David Garrett reports.
Now is the moment for Britain to choose its future.
The country was caught by surprise, the Prime Minister caught in the rain. The expectation was Rishi Sunak would bide his time. An election had to take place before January 2025. As the rain poured, the man who has been leader of the Conservatives and in power for 2 years decided this summer is the right time for him to go to the country.
Rishi Sunak announced the election with one of those great British political set pieces, the statement in Downing Street behind a special lectern with a crowd of journalists on national television. Unfortunately for him, it was also pouring rain, so as he spoke, he got progressively wetter and wetter. He was also all but drowned out by a protest at the end of the street, by protesters playing the song "Things Can Only Get Better." which some people might remember as a Labour Party anthem from the 1997 general election, which elected Labour Prime Minister Tony Blair in a landslide.
So begins 6 weeks of campaigning. The opposition Labour Party has a 20-point lead over Sunak's Conservatives in opinion polls. In Britain, voters pick a local politician from a particular party. The party with the most seats rules Parliament. The leader of that party is the Prime Minister. The current Prime Minister met with his Conservative MPs as they launched their campaign. Many Tories may fear being voted out if the polls prove to be accurate. Data shows the ruling Conservatives have got inflation down to 2.3%. It's lowest level in 3 years. The release of these good financial figures may have prompted Sunak to call the election.
The economy has turned a corner. Friends, our plan is working. But with this hard-won economic stability comes a choice. Who do you trust to turn that foundation into a secure future for you, your family, and our country? Now is the moment for Britain to choose its future, to decide whether we want to build on the progress that we have made or risk going back to square one with no plan.
This is the man trying to stop Sunak remaining in Downing Street, Keir Starmer.
Look around our country. The sewage in our rivers, people waiting on trolleys in A&E, crime virtually unpunished, mortgages and food prices through the roof. It's all, every bit of it, a direct result of the Tory chaos in Westminster. On the 4th of July, you have the choice. And together, we can stop the chaos, we can turn the page, we can start to rebuild Britain and change our country.
David Garrett, TVB News.
The woman who was Donald Trump's closest rival in the race to be the Republican nominee for U.S. president says she will be voting for Trump in the November election. Nikki Haley's remarks were her first on the matter since she dropped out of the presidential race. She says Trump still has to work hard to win over the complete support of the party. Trump's former ambassador to the United Nations says America needs a leader who can secure the border, holds enemies to account, and supports capitalism and freedom.
Trump has not been perfect on these policies. I've made that clear many, many times. But Biden has been a catastrophe. So I will be voting for Trump. Having said that, I stand by what I said in my suspension speech. Trump would be smart to reach out to the millions of people who voted for me and continue to support me, and not assume that they're just going to be with him. And I genuinely hope he does that.
French President Emmanuel Macron has made a flying visit to New Caledonia in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, a week after 6 died and hundreds more were injured in riots. Macron says he will return peace to the French overseas territory. Speaking in the capital, Nouméa, Macron said an additional 3,000-strong security force had arrived as he met with officials in the semi-autonomous French territory east of Australia. He said troops would remain as long as necessary. Violence erupted on May 13th as the French legislature in Paris debated making changes to New Caledonia's voter lists. The French leader observed a moment of silence for those who died last week. Opponents fear the measure will benefit pro-France politicians and marginalize the indigenous Kanaks, many of whom have campaigned for independence from France. Research conducted by the Medical School of the Chinese University of Hong Kong has found cognitive activities such as calligraphy could slow down dementia among the elderly. Timothy Lee tells us more.
In Hong Kong, 1 out of every 10 elderly residents aged 70 or above suffers from dementia. The CUHK's medical school performed a study on the issue starting in 2020 by observing 112 residents aged between 55 and 75 suffering from a deterioration of cognitive abilities who regularly practice calligraphy. The research team split the individuals into two groups, with one group asked to increase the time they spent practicing calligraphy. 6 months later, results from MRI imaging of the brains of both groups revealed the cognitive abilities were better among the group with more calligraphy practice. Researchers also found the brain's default mode network, which is a part of the brain that is activated when it is not engaged in a specific cognitive task, was much stronger among those who spent more time on calligraphy. Other areas of improvement included their memory and attention span. This 70-year-old calligrapher said the most challenging aspect of the art form is the conception of an idea. She remarked her daughter noted the beneficial cognitive effects of calligraphy. The research team said the study marks the first time neuroimaging has been used to confirm activities such as calligraphy can help delay dementia. Dr. Alan Lee, an associate professor at CUHK's Department of Psychiatry, suggested patients with late-stage dementia may want to emphasize their daily well-being in addition to improving their cognitive abilities. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
A mainland technology company has developed a transparent laptop which incorporates the use of artificial intelligence. Mimo Singhai reports.
This computer has the appearance of a standard laptop, but it is transparent. It is developed by Chinese technology company Lenovo. Lenovo said the device makes use of micro-LED technology, adding the transparent screen helps users combine work and their environment. For example, artists can draw objects based on their surroundings with the see-through screen. This transparent laptop allows users to change the keyboard to a drawing board with this pen. Another innovation, this mobile phone is bendable. It can also act as a wrist phone. Like the transparent laptop, this flexible phone is at the conceptual stage. Meanwhile, Lenovo's chairman said the market for AI computers is promising and will continue to grow.
Apart from AI PC, infrastructure would also seeing great growth driven by AI. Infrastructure would grow more than 2 times than the traditional infrastructure. And a lot of enterprises have accumulated a lot of data, and they would utilize these data to realize higher intelligence. We will utilize our infrastructure to help each client to fully take advantage of their data.
Yang said most of the AI computers will first be rolled out in the technology and commercial sectors before expanding to domestic use. TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.